Imagine your world, right now. Cities hum with electricity, highways cut through forests, and satellite dishes point to the sky. Now, wipe it all away. Every road, every building, every trace of human existence, gone. What you're left with is the wild, untamed planet your ancestors were born into. A world unrecognizable, loud with the symphony of life. It's a world where the Sahara Desert was a lush, green savanna. Where rivers flowed, and hippos bathed in places now choked by sand. Night skies were so brilliantly clear, stars cast distinct shadows on the ground. This video is your immersive journey back to that sensory reality. Not history textbook stuff, but the vibrant, terrifying world your species first encountered. The planet we inhabit today is a pale shadow of that past. When Homo sapiens first emerged, around 300,000 years ago, Earth was vastly different. Let's look at the Sahara, 9 million square kilometers of unforgiving sand and rock today. But just 10,000 years ago, it was the Green Sahara. Rolling grasslands, dense trees, and immense lakes teeming with fish. Elephants roamed through the brush, and early humans fished along its banks. Today, the desert is one of the most hostile places on Earth. The evidence for this transformation is everywhere, if you know where to look. Fossilized riverbeds are still visible from satellite imagery. Cave paintings depict people swimming in what is now lifeless desert. Even crocodile bones have been unearthed from beneath the dunes. What triggered this shift? Partly, subtle changes in Earth's orbit and climate patterns. But partly, early human activity, livestock stripped vegetation, altering how sunlight was reflected. A lush world was slowly baked into desert, because we arrived with goats. This was the norm, not the exception, across the continents. Vast forests carpeted regions now dominated by cities or fields. Europe's old-growth woodlands were so dense, they formed near impassable barriers. Sea levels dropped dramatically during ice ages, exposing land now deep underwater. Continents were connected by land bridges, allowing ancient people to walk between them. But nothing is harder to picture than the beasts that shared this world. Creatures genuinely unlike anything alive today. In Europe, it was the cave lion, larger and adapted to the crushing cold. They were recorded by ancient artists on the walls of Chauvet Cave in France. Those same caves had to be won from 500-kilogram cave bears. Ancient peoples literally competed for real estate. Across the ocean, in the Americas, the list of predators reads like fantasy. Short-faced bears stood 6 feet tall at the shoulder, the apex land predator. Giant ground sloths 10 feet long walked on their knuckles because their claws were too huge to lie flat. Glyptodonts, armored like tanks, were the size of a car. Dire wolves, American lions, and mastodons lived alongside woolly mammoths. Even horses evolved here, only to disappear with the arrival of humans. And Australia? Things got truly terrifying. Diprotodon, a rhinoceros-sized wombat. Marsupial lions, Megalania, a 7-meter-long monitor lizard. Imagine something car-sized, with a jaw full of teeth, watching you from the tall grass. And of course, mammoths were everywhere. They weren't rare, they were as common to that landscape as cattle are to ours. Early humans hunted them, painted them, and even used their bones for shelter. Yet the last woolly mammoth died just 4,000 years ago, while the pyramids were standing. The ancient world still held giants even as civilization was building its wonders. What happened to them all? Wherever humans arrived, Africa, Europe, the Americas, Australia, the giants vanished within thousands of years. Climate change plays a role, but the timing is too precise. The patterns are too consistent with human migration to be a coincidence. Your ancestors inherited a world of giants, they left behind a world without them. This world was entirely dark, save for the heavens above. No light pollution, no electric glow, anywhere on the planet. The Milky Way wasn't a distant haze, it blazed every night, bright enough to throw faint shadows. Every star you could potentially see was visible. A third of today's population can't see the Milky Way at all from their homes. To your ancestors, it was a daily feature of life. It was beautiful, but functional too, a celestial calendar. Star clusters rose predictably, signaling seasonal migrations and the coming rains. The Pleiades star cluster appears in indigenous mythology on every single continent. Even in groups with zero contact, the The cluster was being tracked before humans left Africa 100,000 years ago. The sky was a shared story every human read before the invention of writing. An eclipse wasn't an event, it was the sun dying midday, an unimaginable horror. Before fire, half of a human life was spent in absolute darkness. After fire, the campfire's circle of light became the entire universe. The ancient world was loud, an unrelenting, deafening roar of life. Not traffic, not noise, the wall of sound from insect swarms. Bird populations so massive their migrations literally darkened the sky. Frog choruses around every water source, drowning out conversation in warm months. Whale songs traveled hundreds of miles through silent oceans, with no engines to fight. Herds were so large the ground itself vibrated as they moved across the plains. Rivers were crystal clear, all the way to the bottom. Salmon runs were so thick the water appeared to boil with fish. Oceans teemed with whale populations several times their current numbers. But in a world this full of life, it was also full of death. Your ancestors weren't observing, they were participants. They drank from rivers shared with lethal predators. They slept on the ground where nocturnal hunters prowled. Every sound was data, every behavioral shift was a message. Which way a herd moved, what the wind smelled like, where water was, this was survival knowledge. Failure to read the world meant death. Your nervous system was honed by this environment. Ours still is, deep down. The fear responses, the hyper-awareness, the raw instincts, all were built for that ancient wild. We just use them now for phone notifications. What was that world? Green Sahara, forests with no end, skies that blazed, oceans packed with life, giants on every continent, rivers so clear and full they could feed a camp in an afternoon. And then, we happened. Everywhere humans spread, the world got quieter. The giants vanished, the forests shrank, the sky filled with artificial light. It happened so gradually that nobody noticed what was lost. What remains is beautiful, but it's a fraction of what once was. The world was emptied out and quieted down over millennia. Your ancestors were born into something extraordinary. The further we get, the less we remember it was ever here at all.